Welcome to Continuum Drag. More or less. We're not quite back yet, everybody, but this is kind of like a little mini episode to get you ready for our return next week. Isn't that right, my co-host and best friend, Jordan?
Yeah, I like the idea of that we're changing the title to Continuum Drag, more or less.
More or less.
You'll like it, more or less.
Before we come back next week, we've taken a little time off. I think it's been about 4 weeks, Jordan? That seems about right?
It seems longer, though. I remember when we finished recording, it was terrible weather, and as of right now when we're recording, it's beautiful weather. It's
like a season has changed.
I guess that's a short way of saying exactly what's happened.
We've taken a little time during this downtime to kind of, review the podcast, think about how it's working, what's going on, what kind of changes we want to make, and we're going to make a couple small tweaks to the show. So we're going to lay these out here so we don't have to constantly talk about them in the episodes coming up. But if you're interested, stick around. If not, just hang up this podcast right now and come back next week when we have a real episode.
Yeah, hang up and dial back in next week.
Everyone calls in, right? This is like that Freddy Krueger dial-in line. You dial 1-800-CONTINUUM-DRAG and you get the episode.
Was that a thing you used to call in? You speak to Freddy?
Yeah. During the 1-800 craze, I think he'd tell you a spooky story.
I wish they still had those. Those are fun.
Someone's got to be doing it online somewhere, right? Some sort of variation.
I'll tell you, a friend of mine who hasn't been on the podcast, but may in the future. When he was a kid, he used to always call the Nintendo line just because he wanted to talk about Nintendo stuff. But it was just a line for like help on a video game.
Yeah.
And they had to. I think the story was either they called back or they made him put his mom on the phone because they told him he had to stop calling.
Oh.
He called the Nintendo line too many times.
How lonely.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, let's get into the quick changes. There's really only 2 changes we're making currently to the podcast.
Yep.
One is we've gone in. We're going to tweak up the escape pod a little. We tried something new last year. I think we both felt we escaped a couple shows a little too early as a result. So we're tweaking when we can use the escape pod. This year we're going to look at it like we're going to do 3 full podcast episodes on any given series, at which point we'll be able to check the averages and engage the escape pod at that point.
Yeah, that should give us a fair shake on the show.
Yeah, we're guaranteeing every TV show at least 4 weeks of content.
And it might be painful, but we're going to do it.
I mean, pain is relative on this.
That's true. Yeah.
We're in constant pain, but it's all relative now.
Well, it's the pain of watching something that's not very good, so it's not that painful.
And secondly, we have installed something brand new. We're really shaking things up with this new thing. Jordan, you want to tell us about what's coming in?
Yeah, we spent all the money that we made from the last 2 seasons. We've bought a warp drive, but it's a secondhand warp drive, so it's not the most functional. But what it is at any point during the podcast season, both Luke and myself will have 2 opportunities that we can use the warp drive. That what that means is either of us hate the show so much that we're going to take a chance and roll some dice and see if we're going to jump to the end of the show, or if we roll the wrong dice, it means that the scores get reset and we just keep going. So it's basically a do or die.
Will they be metaphorical dice? Will they be real dice? Who knows?
It'll probably be real dice.
But yeah, that's about it. Basically, we're giving ourselves the option individually to take a 50-50 chance to get away from a show we truly hate.
Yeah, because, I think a lot of the time, you and I agree on stuff, but sometimes we don't, and there's shows that you really like and I don't like, or vice versa, and it would be nice if we had the opportunity to go, you know what? I can't watch, like for your instance, you really didn't like Space Time 6000. What was that show?
I don't know what you're referring to.
The one guy had one robot arm, and they were like rogues in space, and they I don't know, they cleaned up stuff, and there was a guy who wore white robes.
Space Rangers?
That's the one.
I like how you were starting to turn this into like it gives us one of us the opportunity to get away and like save ourselves, but it's also the opportunity to punish the other person for liking something.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, you like this, do you?
But that's those are our big changes. We've got a warp drive now. We've installed it ourselves, so it kind of works, kind of doesn't. Adds a real element of chaos to the show. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah, and everything else is perfect. Everything you know and love will stay the same.
Great. Well, that wraps it up for our announcements. So get ready for next week. We're back. We've got a new series to get into. And, oh man, if you love more of the same, you've come to the right place.
Continuing drag, more of the same.